The power of pollination. Here you have a picture of a bee collecting nectar from a flower. Here you have a picture of a bee Here you have a picture of a bee covered with pollen after it's finished collecting nectar from the flower, which are the yellow dots on it. In order to understand how bees pollinate, I will explain to you the structure of a flower. Here you have the pedicel, which is the stem of the flower. Here you have the sepal, which are the small leaves under the flower. Here you have the calyx, which is all of the sepals around the flower. Next you have the oval, also known as the reproductive cell, which will become the seed when fertilized by pollen. The ovary is the female reproductive organ, which is located right here. What the ovary does is it reproduces pollen with the help of the anther, which contains pollen, and is also the male reproductive cell. Holding the anther is the filament. The style is a tube on top of the ovary. The style is a tube on top of the ovary that leads up to stigma, which receives the pollen during fertilization. It is that the honeybee collects the pollen and carries it back to the apiary. Foods that bees pollinate. Here are examples of some of the foods that bees pollinate. For example, alfalfa, almonds, apples, beans, blackberries, cabbage, celery, cherries, clovers, cranberries, eggplant, pumpkins, raspberries, squash, strawberries, sweet potatoes, garlic, grapes, lettuce, mustard, and onions. Poorly pollinated plants. Here are some examples of some poorly pollinated plants, like zucchini, corn, plums, squash, and pumpkin. As you notice, zucchinis are really fat, juicy plants, and in this picture, they're really skinny and weird looking. The corn, it looks really undeveloped, as you can see, and it doesn't look really yummy, and I wouldn't want to eat that either. The next picture, the plums. The plums look really pale and ashy and weird looking. The squash. As you notice in one of the pictures, you see an arrow pointing at one of the squashes, and you notice one of them is purple. And the last picture, the pumpkin, they're like really bumpy and weird looking. From this presentation, I hope you can see why pollination is important. Thank you for watching.